the Crusaders and previewing their side. So again, get on YouTube and check out the full preview with all the graphics. But big ins this year. You've got a man that, again, very disappointed to see leave the Highlanders, Christian Leo Willie, who was, a player that we earmarked last year as someone we wanted to see go around, and he absolutely tore it up. He's such a damaging back rower, and he's probably filling the boots of Pablo Matera. Big boots. I'm not saying that he's going to fill them that well, but I do think he's in and amongst it.
Yep. He's been the spot, the guy that's filled that spot in the roster, at least.
Yeah, exactly right. Then you've got Willie Hines back at...
Lots of Willies.
Yeah, lots of Willie.
Willie Hines. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even pick that up. But anyway, Willie Hines back at New Zealand, elder statesman these days, I guess, 36 years old. He actually played 13 caps for England back in 2019 as well. So just such an experienced player, and I think he'll definitely get a lot of game time. Classy halfback. Milani Nanai, if there was a player that I was excited about so far in the pod, it doesn't actually come close to Milani Nanai back in Super Rugby. And I don't care that it's the Crusaders. I think Milani Nanai should be starting every week. That's my opinion.
He is so good. He is so exciting. And look, we think he will fill a role. I mean, they've had a role of Bridge leaving, just that he's in the squad. Give this guy game time.
Yeah. And I guess a couple of names that non-Bunnings NPC fans might not know as well. Taha Kamara, who we're going to talk about a lot more in the new Hot Shit podcast. Young 10 that's been picked up from Waikato, and potentially the long-term replacement for Richie Mo. And Papasana Patafilo as well, picked up from the Hurricanes squad. Didn't really get much of an opportunity there, but again, just tearing it up at the NPC level, and a very, very exciting outside back.
Long list of outs for the Crusaders, but we've already touched on Abraham Pohl, one that's left. Pablo Matera, a massive loss for them. He is an imposing figure in any side. Bryn Hall, after, filling that one of those two halfback jerseys week in and week out, he's another one lost to the side. Tafu Riorangi as well, another one. Two, experienced halfbacks for them who have left. Isaiah Punavai, he's gone across to Sungoliath in Japan, one of the centres. George Bridge, a guy who we said had fallen out of form, but he still had some glimpses of really promising moments. But at his best was a very, very exciting player for them. And Kini Nahola, a guy we did not want to turn up in this side because we wanted him getting game time. There's too many guys there. So we've seen him move on to the Hurricanes, and hopefully we get to see him actually have a bit of a run.
Yeah, he's obviously doing the Smith Brothers challenge of trying to play for every Super Rugby team in the competition. So he's doing very well there. I would love to see him to get an opportunity.
He's just
obviously, the hard thing is, if he didn't have his last name, then we probably wouldn't be talking about him because we just haven't seen enough from him. We've seen nothing from him at Super Rugby level. But, mate, have the last name Naholo. It builds some anticipation and excitement straight away.
It does. We jump across into the actual starting side. We've got George Bridge in the loose head, elder statesman Joe Mooney in the tight head. Everyone knows Cody Taylor. Slipping from, his maybe top role, I think, there for the All Blacks. Lots of pressure on him, but still a very, very good player. Huge lock-in partnership between Scotty Barrett and Sam Whitelock. Yes, Scott Barrett covered 6 throughout parts of recent years, but we've got Ethan Blackadder off the back of an injury. All Blacks, really, really quality player filling that 6 jersey. A really exciting one to watch out for this year. Tom Christie gets through bulk work week in, week out. Great man in this open side flanker jersey for them. And then we've got Cullen Grace, who has had his chances in the number 8 jersey. He's lost them. He's been back in. Pablo Matera really hurt that. But he had chances back in and out. There are a few other names there as well, but we've given him that 8 jersey. Another year older, another year more of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you might see Blackadder shift around any of those 3 jerseys, to be honest. But I guess that's probably where we would start ourselves. Then in the back line, you got Mitch Drummond and Richie Mo'unga. We got the centres, David Avili and Jack Goodhue. And then in the outside backs, Lester Fanga Anuku, Sebu Reese and Will Jordan.
Not bad.
Yeah, they go all right.
They're the guys you want in your fantasy side.
Except
for maybe David Havili. He let people down last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to be too much of a good inside centre and not a fantasy player, and I don't rate it.
Just be a hold man.
Stop passing the ball.
Yeah. If we go across to the bench, we've got Brody McAllister as the bench hooker jersey. Tamati Williams can cover loose head, tight head. We've got him in that loose head jersey because Fletcher Newell, very talented tight head prop, we've got in the squad as well. That lock jersey, there's a few more question marks around who takes that bench lock jersey. I suppose potentially back row as well. But Quinton Strange, Mitch Dunshea as the two men most likely to cover that locking jersey. They've also got Zach Gallagher. There's a few names that is in that kind of locking compartment for them. There's lots of locks in New Zealand at the moment.
Yeah, there is. And they're all, I guess, a lot of them are trying to be the next guys after Sam Whitelock moves along, to be honest. But
the next
guys. The only problem is they've got Patrick Tugalotto and Scott Barrett. So there's not a lot of opportunity for these outstanding locks, to be honest, to somehow make a name for themselves. I don't really know how you take that next step without being given the chance. But anyway, look, Mitch Dunshea injured all last year. So I think he was a real chance to start over Quinton Strange. Strange got a lot of bench time last year because of it, but definitely a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
And then
the last forward, we've got Sione Havili covering that back row role. As you said, Blackadder going to shift around. Havili can play a few roles in that as well.
Yeah, and reserve backs, we've gone with 3 again: Willie Hines, Braden Enor, and Melanie Nanai. Hashtag get Nanai on.
Yes, please. Can we bring that back? Whoever that was on Twitter, if you're listening, get that account back up.
Please. All right. Key questions. Can anyone break into this settled side, Nelson? I've got a few names here for you to talk about. Zach Gallagher, Christian Leo Willie, Dominic Gardner, Corey Kello, Dallas McLeod, Pepasana Patafilo, Chafe Piaki, all guys that are starting anywhere else.
Look, I think they get game time. There's so many All Blacks in this squad. You know, you get 2 or 3 kind of rest weeks. I think, is it 3 for the Kiwis or is it still 2?
I think it's 2, actually.
So there's a lot of guys who will have to be on rest weeks. And I'm guessing the All Blacks don't go, let's just rest them all against the Rebels. And, you know,
I'm not saying will they play any minutes. I said, will anyone break
into
the
these guys will get runs, but no, my personal opinion is the answer is no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
They'll get runs, but they won't break in.
Yeah.
This side is stacked.
It's ridiculous.
Even the bench is stacked.
And why would Razor take the risk now? He's going to go to 7 from 7.
Why mix it up? Don't fix something that ain't broke.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, Nelson, why won't they win their 7th title in a row?
Because of the Tars.
Oh.
Look,
Jesus, we are dreaming when you look at that side.
Geez, yeah. Look, I think the big thing is another year of experience for the Blues in those kind of big matches, the final last year, that sort of thing. They proved that they can beat the Crusaders. They've got a lot of experience that they're building. But, I mean, if you just keep winning, it's pretty hard for other people to get the experience of winning those big matches. But I think the pack is catching them rather than they're so far miles ahead. They're still ahead, but the pack is catching them. So if you have a little slip up, you know, they had a huge distance ahead of anyone else. They could slip up a couple times, you know, and they're still so far ahead. Whereas now I think, you know, people are creeping and catching up. You slip up in the wrong moment. They don't get a home final. They, you know, something.
I know. I don't think the home final ever matters. They didn't have a home final last time. They went to Auckland and won. I can tell you how they don't win. Injuries. They have to have an early red card in the grand final. That's how they don't win.
Richie Mo'unga going down, huge drop off. Fergusburg's good, huge drop off.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. If he goes down, that's probably the only other way. So really, it's just cross your fingers and hope for the other teams. That's what we're going with.
Yeah. So they lose 2 matches in the year, when that's when they rest Mo'unga. Hopefully, one of those is against the Tars, but that is at home for the Crusaders. But yeah, no, it's going to be a tough ask.
Watching some of these red cards and yellow cards at the moment, I think the best way you can play the Crusaders is to duck as the runner into, bend at the waist late and make sure you hit their shoulder with your head.
The reverse Kazlik. Like when you're running it.
Exactly. Yeah. That Catholic tackle's the one that's in my head,
Yeah.
where she did everything
Sydney's
right
done.
and still been. But we shouldn't. We digress. All right. Pushing on. What else have I got here? I can't even see my screen now.
Does Razor care about the 2024 Crusaders without Richie and co? Will he try to spend time developing the next lot of players, or do we just see him go, nah, it's Mo'unga starts every game barring the two he has to rest? And the same with his other top players.
I think that he does care about 2024. I think he wants to leave a legacy. And the other thing I would say is their pathway system is so strong that that'll all be very planned. Yeah, that's right. The only other thing I would say is when push comes to shove, no, he doesn't care though. So I think
he wants to win the year.
Yeah, he'll give some opportunity, but no, he just wants to go 7-7, and he wants to bag himself a big international job next year. So push comes to shove, no. This is his year to be a little bit more selfish, I think.
I think the big thing about a system like the Crusaders is you slot in a Fergus Burke, you slot in a Dallas McLeod, you slot in a Macca Springer or something like that. And these guys have so much experience currently around them in such a good squad that they can fill their role and perform to a really, really high level. If they do wait for all of that top sort of tier to move away, it's much harder for these guys to step up. So these players will get chances. He's done it in recent years in bits and pieces, but I think the main goal is win this year and get an international gig, and hopefully it's the All Blacks. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah. Stock rising. I've got Ethan Blackadder. Yeah, pretty obvious one. Injured all year last year. All Black in waiting, or All Black to be this year, I would think, if he gets back to the form that he had in 2021. He's going to have a big season. He's got something to prove, and obviously World Cup around the corner. I think he's just going to come ripping and tearing from round one.
There's a bunch of guys that just can't rise. There's so many really good players. Two guys that we've actually named on the bench, Tamati Williams and Fletcher Newell. They're both very, very good quality players that are working their way towards being starting players for them, taking over some of those older props. So we think that their stocks are rising, much younger, very talented All Blacks players. So we think they're going to continue to build.
Yeah, and I guess in the same breath, stocks falling, we've gone 30-year-old George Bauer and Irish-born Ollie Jaeger. Ollie Jaeger is going to have a tough year. He's had neck surgery. I think he's just started in the gym, start of Feb. So he hasn't been cleared to get back in and do any contact or scrummaging anything yet, or anything like that yet. So I do think that, he's going to be tough to force his way back in with those young guys starting to get international experience. And George Bauer, great prop again, has played for New Zealand, but I just think that the tide is turning. Those two are coming for him. And, in the same breath, Joe Moody, 34 years old.
34.
Yeah. I think he's going to be fresh, man. I think he's having a big year. He's pushing for a World Cup. He wants to be their starting prop. So I actually don't think the 34 is going to worry Joe Moody. He hasn't played a lot of footy recently either, really.
No, look, he's their first choice. But, yeah, you might be able to throw him just because of the age and the young guys chasing him into this stock's falling, because when he does have chances, he's normally been such a long-term, bigger minutes type prop at points as well. Yeah,
maybe less minutes this year. Yeah. I got Fergus Burke as well. We talked about Kamara coming in, signing as they said that he was signing a 3-year deal to be the long-term solution at fly half for the Crusaders. If you're Fergus Burke, that is a kick in the guts.
But this is something the Crusaders have done. They've had a few young 10s that have sat there and been there at the wrong time. The next young guy comes up and it's still Mo'unga. The next young guy comes up and it's still Mo'unga.
But the guy's only going to be 1 year into the squad. Surely Fergus Burke is the most likely to start every game next year.
You'd assume so. Surely you assume so, but that's
pretty good though.
That's some pretty strong wording. That's what that is.
Yeah. And Smokey's mate. I haven't said his name. You haven't said his name enough yet.
Malani Nano?
Yeah. Nano.
Yeah, look, if you haven't watched Super Rugby when Malani Nano was there, you're going to be surprised how good he is. He is an exciting player, and the outside backs of this team is freakish, and we still think we need to see this guy on the field.
And look, Cargie would be very upset if we didn't give it one, just sit down. on behalf of Melanie Nanai. Yeah. And finally, Willie Hines, the smoke. He's older, but he's very, very experienced. And considering the way that the Crusaders ran their nines last year with Bryn Hall and Mitch Drummond kind of sharing 50-50 for the last 3 or 4 years, obviously Hall kind of established himself maybe a little bit more. But I think that they'll probably do something similar with Willie Hines as well.
Can we talk about Melanie Nanai?
If you want.
Look, I mean, if we get a Will Jordan injury, you throw Havili back there, don't you? Havili's so good. And then you just put Fainganuku into the centres and you've got a spot on the wing for him. You get an injury to a winger, you put him on the wing. You get an injury to I don't know, Will Jordan or, no, not Will Jordan, either one of the centres. You can shift people in. Like,
the problem is Braden Ennor if they try and use Ennor in the centres. But look, I'm with you. I probably, the form of Fainganuku last year, I'd be tempted to push him at 13. And considering that both Havili and Goodhue can play inside centre, it makes sense. But I like it. I like it. So
we're not wishing
you've heard it here first. Yeah. Melanie Nanai will be the starting winger for the Crusaders by the end of the year.
Lock it in.
Jesus, that's
lock it in, Eddie.
Outrageous call.